Trump is using us right now as poker chips in a battle between the White House and Harvard. And really, I think it's just dehumanizing that we're being used in this way. We have done nothing to be in this situation. Our only crime is that we study at Harvard.
So now Harvard is barred from accepting foreign students. And the students that are already there have to transfer to another school, making it harder because, people are already accepting people into universities. This man is becoming a dictator. A dictator, okay? He's ignoring SCOTUS. He just shipped people to Sudan. Sudan, out of all places.
So he just banned Harvard, one of the most prestigious universities, if not the most prestigious university in the entire country, from enrolling international students. I heard Annabelle is visiting D.C. soon. Do what you gotta do, girl.
Hey my people, Gracie here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I hope that from wherever you my lovelies are watching this from, you're doing all right. And God has protected you and preserved you very well. I appreciate all of you that keep supporting. To those generous souls that give me super chats and super thanks, thank you so very much. A big shout out to the members that continuously give support to me on here through the membership program. I appreciate you so very much. We have another interesting episode in here to look at. Yes, apparently Donald Trump, took away the right of Harvard enrolling foreign students, international students, and so they are no longer admitting them. And even those that are in there, right, they have to look for other schools or else they are going to lose their visas. And it's caused quite a number of, outrage and reactions from people that are reporting on this, but also students giving their, opinions, administrators, others. There's quite a lot of things in here that they're talking about, and I would like to listen to them first. Credit goes to them, the speakers in here, and we'll come back and talk about it. Just do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this. Is he really turning into a real dictator? Is he an enemy to education? Yeah, you're gonna let me know what you think in the comment section.
Trump is using us right now as poker chips in a battle between the White House and Harvard. And really, I think it's just dehumanizing that we're being used in this way. We have done nothing to be in this situation. Our only crime is that we study at Harvard.
If you were talking to an international student who was accepted to Harvard but wasn't supposed to come start until this fall, what would you tell them right now? Do you think it's safe for them to come to the U.S.?
I think it's such a hard choice because it would break my heart to advise someone not to come to this place because I've had such incredible 4 years at Harvard. But in the meantime, I do understand that people are worried. You're going to a university, and this I think is true for any American university at this point. You don't know whether you will be able to finish your degree. You might not be able to speak up because you're worried that ICE agents are going to come after you and put you in a detention center. Do you really want to live in such a country with all of that fear hanging around you?
So when we saw that advisory come out today saying President Trump says no international students, are you on the edge of graduating, or are you going to be graduating next year? Or where are you at in terms of?
Yeah, no, I will hopefully be graduating next week. That is at least the plan. But I feel incredibly sad right now to leave a place in this shape because I think that if Harvard cannot enroll international students anymore, then this place will simply not be the same. What makes Harvard so great, it's not its endowment, it's not its history or its brand, it's really the ability to bring together the best people from around the world to one place. And if it's not able to do that anymore, then higher education in this country is going to look very different.
Can you talk about what your reaction was when you first saw the headlines, when you saw this come down, that this is kind of possibly the next move?
Well, I think it's just absolutely horrible. It is just so sad. And we're being used really as poker chips in a battle between the White House and Harvard. And none of us wanted to be in this situation, but here we are. And, it shows how cruel and how far Trump is willing to go to essentially install himself as provost of this university, because that is his goal. He wants influence over every independent institution in this country, and it's really taken from a fascist playbook.
So it's pretty chaotic, and then I don't know what's going to happen next.
Zilin Ma is a Harvard PhD student from China who's set to graduate Saturday. He spent 10 years pursuing higher education in the U.S. His most recent work at Harvard involved research to support humanitarian negotiations in developing countries.
So if the Trump administration think that we're not valuable assets to this country, I don't know what to say. You know, it's a shame, it's a disappointment.
On Thursday, the White House announced Harvard will no longer be allowed to accept international students, and students currently enrolled would have to find another school or lose their legal status. International students make up more than a quarter of Harvard's total enrollment.
The amount of uncertainty here injected into the lives of real people is just absolutely extraordinary.
Cornell William Brooks is a professor at Harvard's Kennedy School. He's also the former president of the NAACP. Brooks calls this latest move in the months-long back and forth an unfounded attack in the name of xenophobia.
We're literally rendering international students kind of intellectual pariah.
The White House claims Harvard hasn't addressed what it calls widespread problems impacting American students, writing enrolling foreign students is a privilege, not a right, with these students caught in the middle.
I just don't understand the thought process behind it.
And then we are still in the panic mode because this news just broke out like a few hours ago, right? So we don't really know.
So the Orange administration just announced that they're going to take away Harvard's ability to enroll international students. And this is why I'm not worried. Hell has no fury like a Harvard grad who can't get their way. I have friends in the business school. I have friends in the law school. I have friends in the Kennedy School. The way these people are trained across the political spectrum, the way these folks are trained, I am certain this will be resolved quickly. Like HLS grads. Like I have a bunch of friends that are in a bunch of different law schools. Like currently I'm in GSAS. But the law school is like right behind my department. So I spend a lot of time there. And the HLS grads I know, yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried, fam. I'm not worried.
So now Harvard is barred from accepting foreign students. And the students that are already there have to transfer to another school, making it harder because, you know, people are already accepting people into universities. This man is becoming a dictator. A dictator, okay? He's ignoring SCOTUS. He just shipped people to Sudan. Sudan, out of all places. You could have dropped that fucking country, but no, you want to send them in a place that's already going through a hell of a lot of. On top of that, the House just passed this big, beautiful bill that is going to help every middle class and lower class person that is not in the 20% of this goddamn country. On top of that, your student loans are about to be. No one's talking about the student loans. Yeah, your grad plus loans, gone. Subsidized loans, gone. You're going to get unsubsidized loans, but those loans are going to be at a cap. They're going to make it harder for you to get Pell Grants. The requirements are going up. And let's just say your shit, like me, is deferred. They're going to undefer them hoes. We are all about to be broke. This man is turning into a dictator. He's arresting judges, okay? He's trying to indict Congress people. I'm not saying nobody don't do it. But, you know, I don't know what to say no more. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of reporting I'm so sick of this man. God, we need you to do one for us. Just do one big one for us. Somebody put Annabelle on the doorstep at this point.
6,000 international students from 140 countries have had their SEVIS terminated attending Harvard University. The Trump administration today revoked and terminated SEVIS for Harvard University, which means those international students have no status right now in the United States, and technically they have to leave, and their commencement is next week. This all stems from a back and forth between Harvard University and the Trump administration, where the Trump administration wants to get information of non-immigrant F1 students that are attending Harvard that have had disciplinary actions against them in the last 5 years or been involved in other types of activities. Harvard's not releasing any of that information, so the Trump administration has now removed, as what they say, the privilege of being able to have an international student attend their school. They're saying, the Trump administration is saying that the F1 status is a privilege, it's not a right, and they are terminating it. But these students now, either they have to leave, or they have to change status, or they have to get themselves into another school. But graduation is next week, so this is all incredibly chaotic and very unexpected. The Trump administration has given Harvard 3 days to comply with turning in these records, and then they will reinstate the SEVIS, but we don't know what Harvard is going to do. We'll keep you guys posted.
I'm pretty shocked by this. International students have been banned from one of the most prestigious universities in the world, Harvard. The US government has written to the university saying they can no longer enroll international students, and those who are already enrolled either have to switch university or they'll lose their visas. They'll have to leave the country. Now, about a third of the students at Harvard are international, so their dreams have been utterly dashed. But it'll also be a huge cost to the university, and I think that's probably the point here, because international students pay more than US students, but that is a huge cost, so it will affect US students as well, not just because they won't be studying with international students, but the university will have a lot less resources. This is a massive escalation of the row that's been going on for a while between Harvard and the Trump administration. No comments so far from Harvard on how they're going to respond to this, but you would expect them to appeal to the courts. But at the moment, the US government says this is effective immediately.
Donald Trump just took away Harvard's ability to enroll international students, and here's why that matters. Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm a graduating senior from Harvard, and today we got the news that Donald Trump, Secretary of Homeland Security, was going to be revoking Harvard's ability to enroll and maintain their international student population. In simpler terms, if you are an international student at Harvard, you either have to transfer universities or lose your legal status in America. And for any international students that are applying or have already accepted their offer at Harvard, simply cannot enroll next school year. This is crazy. For a party and a president who claims to care a lot about freedom of speech and not having big government involved in every aspect of people's lives, this administration seems to do it a lot more than the last one. And I think it was pretty clear when Trump campaigned on all of these things that he was going to be leveraging the executive branch to take power in higher education. But we are 5 months into this administration, and it is very telling about the things they are already doing today. And I think it should worry a lot of people, because it isn't just going to be Harvard. We've seen this before. This is the first step, and unfortunately, there likely will be many more.
Even the current international students, they're about to graduate. They're saying, nah, bro, you ain't graduating now. You're going to have to find another institution to complete your studies. They're like, but we're already finished. So basically, Harvard has to provide the administration with a list of all international students over the last 5 years who have done any funny business. If they've got in trouble for a little thing, one little thing, they want to know about it. They want audio, they want video, they want pictures involving any incident. Because basically, they're going to use that as a reason to cancel their visa. Going forward, no new international students for Harvard unless they comply. So about 1 in 4, something like that, students in Harvard are international. It's a pretty big deal. Now they're saying, nah, bruv, we want to find what they believe are troublemakers. You're going to help us find those troublemakers, and you know what's going to happen to them. And if you don't, see your institution go down the toilet. I mean, what is a prestigious international university without international students? That even involves like their doctorate students as well, which is a pretty big deal, very, very international.
Where are these Harvard students transferring? Because everybody keeps acting like all they have to do is just transfer their credits to a different community college and, you know, finish their studies. There are probably a half dozen or dozen schools that could be considered comparable to Harvard in this country if they have space in your field of study. But when you go to Harvard or any university where research is prioritized, and that's why you come there, and this is especially true for people who come from out of the country, you're usually going because you have a very specific field of study that you're doing that school in particular studies or does well, or a professor is known for. This is especially true of people doing graduate studies or postdocs. Someone who did extensive research with my professors in university, that research wouldn't have transferred if I had been forced to move to another university. It would have stayed with the professor and with the department in which I was doing it. It's not just a loss for the student, that's a huge loss for the university that's invested a lot of time and money and research in having the student be able to conduct that research. But it's also a huge loss for the community, and by community I mean our country, because a lot of these students are working on things like cancer research and other medical developments. Maybe Kristi Noem's just jealous though, because I bet everybody at Harvard knows what habeas corpus is.
This is vicious, it is illegal, it is unwise, and it is very damaging. Why does it make any sense at all to stop 6,000 enormously talented young people who want to come to the United States to study? If the Trump administration has an objection to something Harvard is doing with respect to foreign students, let it pursue the specifics of that objection through the processes of law. But simply throwing 6,000 students out and denying the many thousands of students abroad who have dreamed of coming to study at Harvard that opportunity because they're angry about a fight on other issues, that is not the way we do things in a democratic country like the United States.
Dude, living in this time and age, it's like living in two alternative realities, because guess what? At the same time, while the United States is bullying Harvard to not hire diverse people, if somebody's going to tell me that's not a dictatorship or a wannabe autocracy, like one foot in the door there, then you have some problems. But at the same time, meanwhile, in Estonia, our tech billionaires, David Hinrikus and Sten Damkivi, are building Kasvuhoone, which is greenhouse, Tallinn's campus that is aiming to become the Nordic's largest hub for technology, creativity, and impact-driven startups. And this thing is planning to be huge. Like, look at this. They're planning to build a 15,000 square meter campus to house 100 companies and 1,000 employees, with a clear ambition to grow Estonia's GDP and strengthen Europe's economic independence. These are the two guys. I actually know Sten. So Sten owned a startup that was acquired by the American startup I worked at before. Yeah, it's two private individuals just, doing what they can for the European people to secure ourselves, because United States is gone bonkers. But I think the modern day Americans have forgotten what happened to America when America took all the scientists from the crazy Germans back in the day, all the talent. The same way now France is recruiting all the talent, for example, loud and clear, saying you are all welcome in France. This is how countries lose competitiveness, and he's definitely a freaking implant of a spy, or rather a saboteur.
Wow. They did it. The president has officially revoked Harvard's ability to enroll international students. And existing foreign or international students would need to transfer schools or lose their legal status. This is huge. As someone who went to Harvard, I can tell you firsthand that international students make up a significant portion of the student body and are a vital part of campus life. Around 6,800 international students attended Harvard University this year, which is around 27% of the student body. I had a lot of friends and classmates who were international, and this order banning them doesn't just affect students from Europe or the East. This also includes places like Canada and Mexico. It's everyone. I'm going to read to you the letter that the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, sent to Harvard, because it's truly so shocking you have to hear it for yourself. It reads, I am writing to inform you that effective immediately, Harvard University's Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification is revoked. As I explained to you in my April letter, it is a privilege to enroll foreign students. And it is also a privilege to employ aliens on campus. All universities must comply with the Department of Homeland Security's requirements, including reporting requirements under the Student and Exchange Visitor Program regulations. As a result of your refusal to comply with multiple requests to provide the Department of Homeland Security pertinent information while perpetuating an unsafe campus environment that is hostile and employs racist, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, you have lost this privilege. Consequences must follow to send a clear signal to Harvard and all universities that want to enjoy the privilege of enrolling foreign students, that DJT's administration will enforce the law and root out the evils of anti-Americanism. Now, here's a list of some of the demands that they want. One of the asks includes any and all video or audio footage in the possession of Harvard University of any protest activity involving a non-immigrant student on a Harvard University campus in the last 5 years. They want all disciplinary records, any complaints, electronic evidence on every international student. And Harvard basically said, no, that's not happening. So here we are. I'm sure Harvard's lawyers are already planning to take legal action to sue and challenge the order in court. Because if we've learned anything about Harvard so far, is that they're not just going to stand by and let DJT bully them.
I'm Dr. Terry Ann Scott, a scholar of African American history and director of the Institute for Common Power. What we're witnessing right now is the cementing of a fascist regime. Kristi Noem, who is the head of the Department of Homeland Security, the same person who ended her puppy, issued a stay on Harvard University giving away any F1 visas to international students. They said you cannot admit any international students, claiming that those students they had been admitting are pro-terrorist and anti-American. A federal judge from Boston today told the Trump administration they can't do that. And while this case is being litigated, Harvard is able to continue to enroll international students. And so in any fascist regime, what we have seen historically is that when people can quell any kind of intellectualism, that is how you control the masses. And that's what they're doing. And when Harvard pushed back against Trump dictates that said you cannot have any kind of DEI measures, that's when Trump's administration decided that it would be their mission to stop Harvard from ever essentially going against them again. Bravo to Harvard for doing what they're doing. And also the fact that this federal judge has pushed back and said you cannot stop Harvard from admitting these students. The fact that we are beginning to see all of these universities push back against Trump and saying that you cannot tell us what we can and can't do in the context of our universities. That is testimony to the fact that when we speak up, when we make our voices heard, we are able to change the tides. We are able to ensure that justice prevails. And so we have to keep speaking up. We have to stay informed, and we have to push back against any hallmarks of a fascist regime. That is how we make sure that we create a just and inclusive democracy.
I think it's quite evident that he's turning into something that, so many people that didn't vote for him were afraid of. And this is what they try to open other people's eyes and tell them this is going to happen. And to the foreign students, of course, there were those that were very vocal and, don't vote for Kamala and all of that. Well, I guess they are about to FA and FO, unfortunately. This is so authoritarian, to be honest. Taking over authority of other private institutions just to show that you're the president is quite ridiculous. Let's not forget that a lot of these, international big institutions, right? They get quite a lot of money from international, admissions. In fact, the people that come out of America to come and study in America, they pay more. They pay more than anybody else, right? So this is not just going to jeopardize the situation, of how much they've been making. Of course, the resources will reduce and all of that, but also the quality in itself, because this is a prestigious, university, right? The quality and the reputation that it is built for decades, right? All of it is just about to crumble down. But the thing is, not just that, the students that literally had nothing to do with his own, issues and grudges that he has against, Harvard, they have to literally face this. How are you going to transfer very soon? Like, that's what a lot of people are upset about. Number of people that are going to be affected, 6,000 is not a small number to start figuring out where to go to, right? Because even if they put in place the, the long distance learning, I don't know how is that going to work, to be honest. I don't know how that is going to work, because they will still be on the visas, right? If they don't leave, the visas have to be revoked and they go back if they don't go to another school, And if you go to another school, that is another, money to use. Like, from where are you going to get all of this money? These people, I don't know what, like, do they think these people make quite a, he's made a lot, like, enmity with any foreigner that is in America, unfortunately, or meanwhile, he's opening the door to the white boers that are, coming in the US, right? And is giving them all of this grace and just free services, right? And it's taking it away from the Americans, right? And these people are not even going through anything, but he's literally coming for every institution. But hey, I guess from the beginning, education was his target. This man doesn't like, you know, big brain thinkers. But from the reactions, you've seen that except if he's not met Harvard lawyers, and they're going to they're going to get him. And I hope that they really, really sue him, and I hope they win and actually even get quite a very big, you know, check from this. But anywho, that's what it is for the international students that are that have been studying in Harvard. I know there's quite a number of people that watch me on here. I want you guys to let me know what you think. If you are parents, you're in Africa, you are in Asia and all of that, you have your students or your children or, you know, your babies there. How does this leave you? And how does this leave the university? Because quite a lot of income is going to be cut, right? And everything that is going to be coming is going to come through the Americans, but that is going to be such a very, very huge cut and a very huge loss to the university. Let me know what you think about this very episode, and please do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I think from me for today, that's it. I will see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie, and I do love all of you. Bye.